It would be up to 8 to 15 years.
That's how long Leticia Riley says the Philadelphia Housing Authority told her it would be before she can get into a public housing unit. And forget about getting a housing choice voucher, also known as Section 8.
Our housing choice voucher program is currently closed.
Section 8 homes are privately owned with the Housing Authority paying the rent. The waitlist for those has been closed since 2010. But the NBC 10 investigators found that since 2017, 715 families have been able to get Section 8 housing in Philly using a loophole. It's a federal program called Portability. The program allows people to transfer their housing voucher from one public housing agency to another, anywhere in the country. To help explain it, we have to take you to Johnstown, Pennsylvania, an old steel town just east of Pittsburgh. That's where we meet Senzi Wallace Bay. She says she first tried getting into public housing in Philly, where she's from.
I was on the waiting list for almost like 8 years.
Oh, wow.
So it was taking very long. Whereas here, I was on there for only 2 months.
Once she became a Johnstown resident in the city's public housing, she got priority for a Section 8 voucher.
To get housing in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is much more populated, has a much longer wait list.
Mike Alberts is the head of the Johnstown Housing Authority. He says the Johnstown agency doesn't have a residency requirement for public housing, so people from Philly and other cities can get in. Some Philly residents will move into Johnstown public housing, but with another goal in mind.
Once they've established residency, then they qualify for that preference to get a Section 8 voucher quicker.
The wait for a housing voucher in Cambria County is usually a couple of months. So they come here to Johnstown in western Pennsylvania, stay for as little as a few months, pick up their Section 8 voucher, and then they port back to Philly and move into Section 8 housing without having to wait on PHA's list. The practice is allowed under the Federal Housing Choice Voucher Program. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development sets the rules for the transfer. Officials there say it gives people a choice of where to live.
That's how it works, and there's nothing that we can do to change that.
715 people used the program to get into Philly between 2017 and 2021. And 95 of those are from Johnstown, the most of any town or city. They got to skip that line.
Right. And part of that, I think, is on Philadelphia, where they're absorbing these residents into the program instead of pulling from their own waiting list.
Philly's housing authority could build the other housing authority where a voucher holder moved from in order to cover that person's rent. Or PHA can absorb it, paying for it from its own budget.
Those 715 vouchers